Good morning, everybody. We're going to start a new 3-week series on Can I Be Used by God? And what we're going to cover today is how small little acts of faithfulness can be used by God in big ways. Let's discuss it today. So I recently got into the Ancestry.com stuff, going through genealogical records, trying to find out where my ancestors came from, different information about them. And I tell you, Ancestry.com, not a plug, has so much information. You can go through finding marriage records, birth records, clippings from newspaper articles from 1 to 250 years ago. So when you're going through these records, you find people who fought in wars, maybe local heroes, people who've done just some incredible things. You also find the not so savory individuals. Like in mine, I found someone who shot his neighbor because he thought he stole his pig. Very interesting story. It's hard to believe it was a newspaper headline, but I got to see it, and this person is in my genealogy. Now, I say all this because there's these two ladies in the genealogy of Jesus who are there for very specific reasons. And I want to get into what they did and how they were used. So the first one we're going to talk about is Rahab in the book of Joshua. So the king of Jericho sent this message to Rahab: "Bring out the men who came to you and entered your house, because they have come to spy out the whole land." But the woman had taken the two men and hidden them. She said, "Yes, the men came to me, but I did not know where they had come from. At dusk, when it was time to close the gate, they left. I don't know which way they went. Go after them quickly. You may catch up with them." But she had taken them up to the roof and hidden them under the stalks of flax she had laid out on the roof. Before the spies lay down for the night, she went up on the roof and said to them, "I know that the Lord has given you this land, and that a great fear of you has fallen on us, so that all who live in this country are melting in fear because of you. We have heard how the Lord dried up the waters of the Red Sea for you when you came out of Egypt, and what you did to Sihon and Og, the two kings of the Amorites east of the Jordan, whom you completely destroyed. When we heard it, our hearts melted in fear, and everyone's courage failed because of you. For the Lord your God is God in heaven above and on the earth below. Now then, please swear to me by the Lord that you will show kindness to my family, because I have shown kindness to you. Give me a sure sign that you will spare the lives of my father and mother, my brothers and sisters, and all who belong to them, and that you will save us from death." "Our lives for your lives," the men assured her. "If you don't tell what we are doing, we will treat you kindly and faithfully when the Lord gives us the land." Now, Rahab didn't know that this one little act would change everything for her. She had heard the stories of how the Hebrews came across the Red Sea. She's heard the stories of the power of their God. So she's doing this, putting their faith in the God of the Hebrews. And in doing so, it saves her family. So she thinks this is the payoff right here. This is a blessing that God is giving me. I put my faith in Him. He's protecting my family. Now, she wouldn't know how far this would go, that she would get married and have a son named Boaz. Now, this takes us to our second story, which is about someone named Ruth. So we're fast forwarding. They've inherited the promised land. We're in through the time of the judges. This is where Ruth finds herself. So she's the daughter-in-law of Naomi. They've been in Moab. Naomi goes there with her husband and her two sons. The two sons get married in Moab to Ruth and Orpah, both Moabite women. The husband, Elimelech, and the two sons, they die in Moab. So Naomi decides she's going to go home. The famine's over now. She offers both of these daughter-in-laws to go home to their families in Moab, but Ruth decides to follow. But Ruth replied, Don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God. So through all this, Ruth has decided, she's listening to Naomi. She's put her faith in God right here to go to Israel and to serve and worship the God that Naomi worships. She takes Naomi's advice. She's collecting grain as widows could do. The grain that was left over, they could take at the end of the day. So she goes, finds herself on the land of a man named Boaz. The same Boaz that's the son of Rahab. Now, Ruth goes back to Naomi. Naomi says, oh, he's our kinsman redeemer, which is the closest living relative that can redeem a family when a husband passes away. So Boaz comes, redeems Ruth, marries her. They have children. The son that they have, his name is Obed. Now, an interesting thing about Obed is that he is the grandfather of David. So going back to my Ancestry.com example, you have Obed, whose mother is Ruth, father is Boaz. Obed's grandmother is Rahab. So Rahab and Ruth are right here. Rahab is Ruth's mother-in-law. And as you work your way down, Obed is the father of Jesse, and Jesse is the father of King David. Now, we know that Jesus comes from the line of David. So through the faith of Rahab, protecting these spies and putting her faith in the God of Israel, and Ruth putting her faith in the God of Israel by staying with Naomi, by following these customs, by listening, by putting faith that God would provide for them. They both have been grafted in to the lineage of Jesus. They didn't think that these decisions that they made could impact the entire world. I don't think we think what we do on a day-to-day basis can impact the entire world. I heard the people who created the Marvel Cinematic Universe, when the original Iron Man came out, they already had in their mind what they wanted Endgame to be, which blows my mind, because in Iron Man, there's so many characters we haven't been introduced to yet, so many storylines, so many twists, so many turns. And I look at Rahab and Ruth, these little faith steps that they made, being like the Iron Man 1. It's this step to trust God, this small ripple. But only God could see the end game of this story and the end game of our story. And that is that Jesus came not just for the Jew, but for the Gentile, because the Canaanites, the Moabites, enemies of God's people, are part of Jesus's bloodline. He's Jewish blood, he's Canaanite blood, he's Moabite blood. Jesus is for all nations. And the end game of the Bible is that he came to live a perfect life that you couldn't live, to die a death that you deserve, and rose again, defeating sin in the grave. And if you put your faith in him to be your Lord and Savior, you too can be grafted into the family of God. When that Ancestry.com report is read off in heaven, your name could be on it if you want to accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior today. So think about this week, these little faith steps of Rahab and Ruth. And think of what you can do. What little faith steps can you make this week? Because you never know the impact that you're going to make by just doing the little things every day. Stay faithful, because God is always working behind the scenes. And with little faith steps, just like what Rahab and Ruth did, God can use you too. So come back for next week. We're going to cover two more examples of how God can use you, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it with your friends. Please help get it out there, because the more people that see this, the more likely it is to get into the hands of those who really could use these messages. And you can be a big part of that. So help us, help the channel. Have a great week. We'll see you next time. God bless.